sad part is I have to tear this all the way apart to put this little seal right here back inside the rear end there. And you got to take it all the way apart just to replace that. Tore up pretty good, so that's going to be a whole new axle. When it moves back and forth, these are the places that it should land, like the forks should grab, and it'll start to apply pressure to the brakes. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Kart Smart TV. Today we're going to be dealing with another axle bearing issue, except for it's going to be on a Yamaha. Got a Yamaha drive, and yes, it's already out of the way because I had no choice. It's the Yamaha drive XR or something like that. That bearing is no longer there. And it looks like the axle shaft is also tore up pretty good, so it's going to be a whole new axle. And then we get in here to the rear end, and you can see that it's all kinds of distorted. I'm not sure. See, there's the seal that seals off the bearing. There's all that buildup that happens inside. So, in my endeavors in trying to get the correct parts for this, I have learned that the rear end that is in this particular golf cart has been discontinued. It is no longer being made. Also found out that this particular rear end is basically a one-off. Like, they only made it for a couple of years because they were trying something new, and that's when the golf cart industry gets in trouble, and it winds up in this situation here. Fortunately, we have found all the parts we needed. The one ring seal that goes in to seal off the fluid from running out, basically, that's also been discontinued, and we were lucky enough to be able to search the dark web and find one out there, but it was, I think this customer, this guy who was selling them only had like 3. But this rear end is the one that they claim is maintenance free, and it also has the braking system built inside of it. There you go, guys. I got this thing out. This is the absolute worst rear end that I have ever had to do, and at this point I hope I never have to do another one again. There's cables that come in here and hook to the, what I assume this is going to be a braking mechanism. Breather hose here, cables that hook here and here, and then you got cables that come in here that are your forward and reverse. You got to unhook all of that. Then you got to get your 4 bolts off that hold it to the chassis itself. You actually have to move the starter generator completely out of your way because we've got to split this thing open. And of course my seal is going to be on this side over here, so it's going to contain all the braking mechanisms and all that crap. You know, from here we're going to attack getting this thing open. Obviously got to get the clutch out of the way. Probably going to have to get a couple of other pieces out of the way, like of course that hub and the spacer that goes between the hub and the rear end itself. That's all got to move out of the way on that side. Alright guys, so show you a little bit about the Yamaha here on the stuff you got to remove. So here's your forward and reverse cable with the mechanism that moves the selector in the rear end. You got to get that off the top because it's more of a pain trying to get the cables out than it is just to remove the mechanism there and leave it together. This braking mechanism right here is probably the worst, but you do have to remove the bracket. It has 3 12 mils that hold it to the rear end. You see this cable here? This is a cable that comes from the pedal to pull on the governor, and the cable I was talking about that you have to remove the starter generator out of your way, because there it sits and it should be back there. So that cable is right there that you have to remove from the bracket that actually pulls the carburetor open on this particular setup, and it is got 2 jam nuts that hold it right there on that bracket. that's attached to the rear end. There you go, there you go. I was lucky enough that it slid out without any pieces hitting the ground or coming out at all. Just very, very lucky. So this piece here is basically the brakes for the cart. It's set up kind of like the clutch discs in a four-wheeler. So it looks like you're gonna have to take out the 7 Allen head bolts around this. Make note of the way you see things in here. Like right here is a little arm that's touching a some kind of half moon shaped deal here. I'm not exactly sure what that's doing. I expect it's probably got something to do with maybe the speed and like the braking of the cart, because once the cable, I think that's exactly what it is. Yeah, so your braking lever right here, you got a cable that comes in and hooks to it, and so when you start to push on the pedal, it'll start to apply pressure to the brakes. As you can see, the pressure plate back there is definitely putting pressure on that, so that's what slows the cart down. Just be really mindful of what you're doing when you're doing this if you decide to do it yourself. So I'm gonna get this pulled out, try to get that bearing that's back there out of the way, get that seal replaced, and so I finally got the Nightmare on Elm Street out. Hard to see down in there, but you can see the little spring here that goes inside the seal to create a nice tight seal around the axle when it slips in there. Now it's all tore up. You can see past my hand how the seal there is broken. And you got to take it all the way apart just to replace that. It's going to have to come out this direction and then go back in that direction. Again, this rear end is not that common. 2011, maybe some of the 12s, but then I'm pretty sure they went back to a different style rear end, and the Yamaha went back to the old style and or made a different style rear end that mimicked the old one. Alright guys, so we've got our seal, which is in behind this gear here, which is in behind that bearing there. It's hard to see right through there. And then we've got all our discs and our mounting plate back in place. I've got my silicone around right now. I literally just finished that off. So we are going to get this put back together. But this is going to be probably the hardest part, really, because you have to get your governor fork in the right position as this is going together. So only thing I can say is good luck, and good luck to me. Alright guys, so going back in, you're going to have to remove this gear from that area there. You have to slip it in here first because it has fingers on it that slide in between those braking discs. That way it can center them up and do its job. Then you just aim your shaft right here back to the hole in the gear. You may have to do a little wiggling, but there's no teeth on this here for it to line up other than inside of that hole, so I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But as you're doing this, be careful that when you slip this back together, also paying attention to our fork there. So make sure the fork is in the right place as you're going back together, which it will be pushing up against the back of your mechanism here. See, this moves back and forth. Finally got this thing back together. Last thing I'm doing is I'm going to get our axle put in, and then get some fluid in it, and move it back to the cart, get it bolted up. So it is a real pain in the butt to get them to go back together properly, making sure that this falls into its supposed place or its actual spot. So just be warned, if you want to do this at home, take your time, be very, very observant, and also take pictures, notes, anything that you got to do this. Take it to your local golf cart shop guy that'll do it. and it's going to be very expensive to do, just so you know. Nearly can buy a golf cart for what this is going to cost my customer to fix his golf cart. So we have finally got this rear end back together on the 2011 Yamaha. This is the Team. It's going to be hard to see probably, but right here is the big old stamp on the Team rear end style that go in these. Found out that the short side, or the passenger side of the rear end, this axle is actually discontinued, but there are a limited supply of like the axle bearings, that seal that we talked about having to put in right here. That's the axle seal. They still do have the rings that hold the bearing in place in here, but they are very limited supply. They are not making this rear end anymore. Like I said, this side axle is actually not available at all. Fortunately, the axle was kind of messed up on the end, in the teeth where it goes into the rear end. I took a file and just knocked all the burrs off that I possibly could find and feel with my fingers and hands, smoothed it out. Thankfully, it is operating, so if I turn this side, that's also turning. Now it's time to put fluid in it, and what you will need is this Yamaha friction modified shaft drive oil. That is a requirement to go in this rear end due to the fact that you have your braking mechanisms here, discs, your brake discs in here. So all that has to be saturated in that liquid to operate properly. Finally, it's back in. The rear end is back in the Yamaha. So a little recap on what happened. This side, which is your short side, passenger side of the golf cart, blew up the wheel bearing. Well, when it did that, it destroyed the axle seal, and it boogered up the teeth on the axle right much. But come to find out, this whole rear end has been discontinued by Yamaha. No parts available for it at all, except for what might be lingering around. And I've noticed earlier there are some lingering around. Very few though. Once they're gone, that's it. There's nothing else left for this golf cart. You can't even get an axle for this thing. Not the gas version anyway. You can get one for the electric all day long, but it's a little different when you are dealing with electric than it is gas. Alright guys, so backed it up, pulled it forward, seemed to be doing good, so now it's time to take it for a haul here. Alright guys, there you go. Got it back working again. Just take warning to what I've showed you here on this particular rear end. It's just this one only. Everything else seems to be fine with the Yamaha brand. Hopefully this video will help you guys out. If you have any questions and you're running into this particular rear end, please feel free to comment on the channel or give us a call. I'll do what I can to walk you through with what you're looking at maybe. Don't forget to hit that like, grab that notification bell so you can see all these new videos we're putting out, and don't forget to subscribe. Again, thank you so much for watching. God bless you all.